Good morning, everyone. The time is now 10:03, and we will call today's Planning Board Commission meeting together. First item on the agenda is the approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
I second.
Want to call the roll?
Chair Barnes,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartley,
Aye.
Commissioner Hedrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Linden,
Aye.
and Commissioner Pettaway.
Aye.
Okay.
Verify Okoye is not present.
Oh, and I'd like to verify that Commissioner Koye is not present. Vote 7-0.
I am present now.
That's why we.
Okay, 8-0.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning,
Good
Billy.
morning.
All right,
Morning.
second item on the agenda is the approval of commission minutes from December 17th. Is there a motion?
Move approval.
I second.
It's been properly moved in second. Joe, you want to call the roll?
Chair Barnes,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Koye,
I vote aye.
Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartley,
Aye.
Commissioner Hedrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Linden,
Aye.
and Commissioner Pettaway.
Aye.
Okay, vote 8-0.
Great. The next item is the general announcement. Upcoming President's Day holiday is on February 16th. Black History Month is in the month of February, and financial disclosure filing requirements is due on April the 30th. We will now hear from committee and board reports. For informational only, the Employment Retirement System Board of Trustees regular minutes from December 2nd. You all should have received and reviewed that. We will now go into a closed session pursuant to the Maryland General Provision Article of the Annotated Code of Maryland, Section 3-305, B-9. A closed session is proposed to conduct collective bargaining negotiation or considers matters related to those negotiations. The time is now,
We need a vote to go into a closed session.
the time is now 10:06. I will now ask for a motion.
So moved.
Been properly moved in second. Do we need to vote?
I didn't hear a second.
Commissioner Geraldo.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Let me get take the roll. Chair Barnes,
I vote aye.
Commissioner Geraldo.
He voted.
Oh, he already said. Commissioner Koye.
I vote aye.
And we already, Vice Chair Harris,
Aye.
Commissioner Bartley.
Voted on.
Okay, Commissioner Hedrick,
Aye.
Commissioner Linden,
Aye.
and Commissioner Pettaway.
Aye.
Okay, 8-0 vote.
All right, we're now going in closed session. See you soon.
Hi, John. You have a nice background filling all my page on my screen.
All
I
right,
like your
everyone,
scarf.
the time is now 10:47. We are reconvened in open session. While in closed session, the commissioners approved previous closed session minutes, and the acting director briefed the commissioners regarding the status of collective bargaining. We will now move on to item 6, which is the executive director's report. You all should have that information. It is for information only. The last item on the agenda for today is the general counsel legislative and administrative hearing report. That is for informational only. You all should have a copy of that. And the last thing is legislative update. Ms. Borton.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to all members of the commission and staff. I'm Deborah Borden. I'm the general counsel for the commission, and I just want to give a very brief opening update for the commissioners. The General Assembly session started last week, and we were there on the spot. We've gotten several bills in the past week, but one of the most consequential, let's call it consequential bills that we're going to deal with this term is a bill from the governor's administration. The Department of Housing, again, is proposing several bills, only one of which has dropped so far. So we have one of the bills. It's called the Silver Starter and Silver Homes Act. And it purports to do basically what we've had the past 3 years, where the state is trying to do local zoning on a state level in a way that's very difficult to do and somewhat concerning, because generally when you do that, it becomes a one-size-fits-all problem, and then you get unintended consequences. So we've only had this bill for a couple of days, but we've already started to review it. If you're interested, it's HB 239 and cross-filed as SB 36. It's 11 pages, so it's pretty compact, but it's got a lot packed into it. It talks about limiting lot coverage maximums, limiting and eliminating setbacks. It talks about requiring townhouses to be able to basically go almost anywhere. It just really delves into the local zoning authority pretty deeply and on a level that is basically treating every area in the state the same. So we have started putting together comments, staff technical comments on this bill. We've also actually set up a meeting with the Department of Housing to go over our concerns with the bill. The other issue with the bill is also politics. It's not just technical. We don't know where our counties are on this bill yet, and so we're going to be very careful and make sure that we don't get out in front of them. Also, you know, we want to cultivate good relationships with the state. So that's why we've set up the meeting. So you will see this bill. We're going to send out the bill and some proposed comments. It's just a first draft. We literally have only had the bill for 2 days. And we're going to send that out to you today. We're going to talk to you in more detail about it when it's in front of you tomorrow at both planning board meetings. But you will see this bill again at least 2 more times, because it is pretty, like I said, consequential. And we want to be very careful how we approach our comments, as well as how we approach any alternatives that we might come up with or that we might suggest. Now, in addition, sort of complicating this, is that MACO has proposed its own housing bill. And in a sense, these bills are competing with each other. And MACO's bill just dropped yesterday, so we haven't had a chance to really go through it, but we will bring both bills to you, and we will have discussions about both bills, again, more than one time. The other thing I wanted to mention, We do also have a bill out of the Maryland Department of Planning. They have proposed a number of very significant changes to the elements that are required in master plans. So this bill is 52 pages long. So I spent this morning going through some of our initial comments, but it is a long, very involved bill. And even though it's master planning, and master planning is, is very flexible, what they're doing really, in some cases, would be a major shift, a major change. Really looking at master plans almost like APF studies. And so we're very concerned about that change, that shift in direction. And we want to make sure that we get some really good comments in and reach out to the Department of Planning as well to discuss what they're trying to do. The committee meetings have already started. So the Department of Planning bill is literally already scheduled for committee meeting this morning at 11 o'clock. So we got some initial comments over to them, but it's a big, big bill. So we intend to bring that to you. We intend to probably bring it back a couple of times as we refine our comments and as we get more information from the Department of Planning about what they have in mind and what they intend. So I'll stop there. You'll see us again tomorrow. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Are there any questions for Ms. Borden? Let me just say that since the opening day in Annapolis, Ms. Borden and Jordan have done a yeoman's job of getting around and navigating and talking to the delegates and senators about our priorities. So I want to thank you in advance for all the work that you're doing. I would also ask that Jason and James really take a look at this housing bill from the governor, simply because I think your input on this bill will help Ms. Borden as she is dissecting through it to make sure that we're all aligned and moving in the right direction when it comes to this housing bill. The same with the one from MACO, simply because there are so many moving parts that we do not want to be caught off guard, that in our input is valuable in the success of this bill. So if you all could do that, that would be greatly appreciated as we continue to move forward in Annapolis.
Yeah, thank you for those comments. One quick question for Ms. Borden. You may be talking about this tomorrow, but is there a big picture why the Maryland Department of Planning put out that bill? Like, what are they trying to get at?
Well, at first blush, it certainly appears that the departments under the governor's administration have all been given the same marching orders. What can we do to attack the affordable housing issue? And so I think that is what they're trying to do. I think that they're trying to come at the problem from every angle that they can think of. And that would obviously then include the state's, the state's planning department. But again, we think that, the state giving us direction usually works better when they allow us to then figure out how to implement that on the local level. The more detailed they get, the more problematic it usually becomes. And that's just a general observation over the past 3 years of dealing with these bills. So it's a familiar problem, and we're pretty good at working through those problems. But yeah, the state's planning department is, this is a big change, and so we're going to be really engaged on this because it's a huge consequential, right turn. And in some sense, it could be viewed as a turn away from what we've been doing for the past couple of decades: smart growth, sustainability. The sustainability element is still in there, but there seems to be this emphasis on, for instance, creating special regulations for a development. What does that mean? It's very odd, some of the things that are in there, and we really need further clarification, and we really need to discuss them.
Thank you.
Commissioner Petty.
I was just wondering, Deborah, if they give you any heads up, like a specifically Mako, because we are, working with them, do they give you any heads up? Like 52 pages, they send it to you along a lot of other things, doesn't give enough time to review.
Well,
I'm
that
just
was-
wondering what the process is. Yeah.
Yes, well, the 52 pages was from the Department of Planning, and no, we didn't have a heads up about that. But Mako did give us a heads up. They've given us drafts of their proposed housing bill. So we were aware that they were working on something. They've been working on something for months. And we were also aware that the governor's people were working on something as well, although we didn't have a draft. So, we only can really, spend our time dealing with the actual draft. We don't want to, spin our wheels dealing with concepts before they get turned into bill language. So it makes it tough because, then we're under the gun and we're working with really tough deadlines sometimes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hedrick.
Thanks. I just and I just want to say I'm very conscious of the the devil is in the details with legislative language. It really special zoning the language is important. I do want to make sure we keep our eye on the ball on what are our overall policy goals, not just for us as an organization which is interacting with the state, but us as an organization which wants more housing within our jurisdiction. And so I've looked a little bit at what's been coming out about the bill language, and it's complicated, very complicated. And again, we should absolutely have technical comments on all the details and stuff, but things like removing setbacks and allowing townhomes in more areas and stuff like that very well fit within the goals of M-NCPPC in general, and Montgomery County Planning Board at least. And I don't want us to get hung up on the fact that we've been trying to do very similar things with attainable housing and expanding housing supply within our own jurisdictions, just because it's coming, from the state. I haven't seen the county's, Mako's version, but I get a sneaking suspicion it's not going to be nearly as broad as it probably should or need to be to affect, overall housing supply. So I do want to make sure as an organization we're cognizant of the fact that our goal is to produce policies that, do the things that we want to do, and one of those things is increase, housing supply. So I mean, if I'm just want to make sure that our comments are not don't have setback changes in there because we want to do the setback changes, then we never do setback changes, and that's what it is. So I just want to make sure that we're cognizant of the fact that we're trying to achieve policy goals, and if this is the vehicle, then this is the vehicle. So absolutely want to have the technical comments, and the master planning for 56 pages does concern me a little bit. But I do want to make sure that we don't lose, let's not miss the forest for the trees kind of a situation here. So just throw my 2 cents in there.
That is understood. And just to expound on that a little bit, we are very cognizant of that. We both counties, Prince George's and Montgomery, we have our longstanding master planning goals and visions for our different areas, and many of them are based on smart growth and based on all of those urban planning principles that we deal with every day. The problem is that once you get this approach where it's all hands on deck, everybody needs to do whatever they can. Sometimes you get efforts that are working against other efforts that you just did. So we've got to make sure that that's not happening.
No, and I absolutely understand that, and I I'm not telling you anything you don't know, or anybody else anything they don't know on this comment. I just do the smartest growth is the stuff that doesn't take place in West Virginia. You know what I mean? Like that's the smartest growth we can have. And from the standpoint of Montgomery County, and this is not to say that we do anything against our own sustainability requirements and needs, because we just in the Montgomery County Planning Board talked about heat island effects and the need for trees and things like that as part of sustainability and smart growth. But you know, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater on anything that allows us to sort of increase housing supply. And you know, as we've talked about in many times before, when we do, you know, particularly the environmental reviews on particular master plans or particular projects, oftentimes those things don't take into account that if the people don't live there, they are going to live somewhere else, and that place is much more likely to be much less sustainable than the place that they would live if they were in Montgomery County or closer in. And not discuss our friends over in PG. I'm just trying to get from our own point of view. But I do want to make sure that we're keeping that in mind. We have the purpose of smart growth, and the purpose of the smart growth policies and things that we put into place is to make sure that the housing is as sustainable as possible and that it comes in places where it needs to be. But not having that growth does not mean those people disappear. It means that they typically go further out and they're more impactful on the environment and less sustainable because of it. So just as thoughts to put out. Again, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but I just want to make sure we get that, you know, we're thinking through that when we're making our comments.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions or commentary? Seeing none, the time is now 11:02, and I will now call the meeting adjourned. Thank you, guys.